Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Mad Capper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends, and today we're going to talk about the updated nerf to the Unkillable comp and what you can do if you still want to run the Unkillable comp in your Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss runs. It is a 4-key comp now. You can push it to a 3-key, and there are some future ways that I'm going to be testing out to get that to even better. But for now, let's just talk about what I am doing. Now, I can't do a run for you this time because unfortunately I had to do all my runs today early to ensure I got them in. And we only have 33 million, and there's some guys on the team that still haven't hit max keys yet. So as you can see here though, 75.87, I actually went a little bit over. And I stopped my third run after 7 minutes. I was supposed to do 6.5 minutes, but I got distracted and I went a little bit over. But what we're looking at is Void runs around 20 million and Affinity runs around 18.5 million, give or take some RNG. But let's go over the champions. I can't do a run for you, but I can go over the champions and explain what I've done to increase their damage output. And frankly, they're not min-max. There is plenty more damage left on the table on all of these champions. As a side speed hack, I have started using my vault is where I keep all my completed non-working on champions. So all these champions are champions that are at the level I want them to be at. I'm not currently trying to min-max them or improve them, and I just put them on my vault. Also future champions that I'm not currently working on, as well as dupe champions here. And of course the rare void champions that I keep, and a couple I've decided to start keeping these for now, although after this last fusion they might be food, because frankly I was able to use 4 of the champions that I already had. A whopping 4 champions I was able to use for this fusion. All these and 4 of them, and one of them was an epic, so thanks Clarion. Anyway, let's talk about this. So Sir Nick is the first one. Now the biggest thing here is the first step is, as I said in my Nightmare video series, he is using primary stat boots. His skill damage scales off of HP. So I use HP boots, and that is what I've tried to do with each of my champions. And while still getting him within the turn order, it is speed tuned to 191. So Sir Nick goes 5th in order, and he's the 191. His 69 KHP, that can go higher. A brief reminder for those of you using Sir Nick is that we have had reports when he has 100% crit rate and over about 75k health, he can prioritize his A2 over his A1. If you find that happening, that's where you're going to have to retune it. For me, I did not actually improve. I didn't take his cooldown to 3 turn. This does make him less useful in dungeons, but it does make him more useful in my clan boss, so I can keep pushing that HP higher. I have not been min-maxing him in a while because frankly I didn't need to. I will be looking back at that. So you want his crit rate to be 100%, push his crit damage as high as it can be, get his HP as high as it can be, and his speed is either going to be 191 or 192, in that ballpark, so long as he is the slowest or second slowest, depending on who you want to go last. Roche Card will be my second last. He is interchangeable for Sir Nick in turn order, but he's sitting at 192, also pushed his health up to about 70k. He does have an attack A1 and an HP A2, so ultimately I would like to get his attack and his crit rate higher, but at this particular time, that's all he really needs. Oh, I forgot to talk about Masteries. Here, I'll just show you here. Attack A1, HP damage based A2. Very annoying, but his key is here, a 4-turn cooldown on block damage. Masteries. So this is the Masteries for all of my champions except one, and I'll show you that one. It was different, but all the rest, this is the build I do. Is defense goes down to these 2 here. This is the key, is getting that 20% chance to counterattack when an enemy gets stuns one of your teammates, and anytime he loses 25% of their max HP, has a 50% chance to counterattack. These are just extra hits, extra opportunities to do damage. Here he goes to War Master because he is a single hit A1. Sir Nick was exactly the same. You can see they have the exact same build. Light Sworn is almost exactly the same build. The only difference is I decided he has a 3-hit A1, so I went with Giant Slayer. Arguably, it's the better of the two. There's a 30% chance, and it can happen on each hit. I would like to see him in War Master because honestly, 60% chance on 3 swings means he's probably going to hit it every time. Versus this, he has a 30% chance. I'm curious as to see which one would do more damage. In math, it would be Giant Slayer, but in Plarium, math means very little. The other thing here is I didn't go this way because I decided this is going to be more overall damage for him. It increases the damage of his A1 up to 10% more damage over 50 full rounds, whereas minus the first first 5 rounds to ramp it up. Whereas this is only going to be a 20%, so a 1 in 5 on the stun round, which is every 3rd round, which is like 15 rounds of stun. And so I think it's 16 actually of stun, and so you only get 2 turns possibly that's going to go on average, whereas this is going to be an improved damage all year round. Doom Priest, she is my cleanser. One thing to note is I did run her slower so I could use her in both my Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare. My Nightmare when needed for Spirit Affinity. And so the big thing here is I had her in defense because in Nightmare she has to survive. She isn't in Lifesteal gear, which I probably should have put her in so I could effectively use her in both. But, well, too bad. So I went this way instead. And whatever, the main thing is she's at 185 to cleanse. Special note, she got a shadow nerf. It's not really a nerf, it's actually working as intended. In the past, her bolster only cleansed the last debuff placed on team. Now it actually does it true random. So there is a case where my Occult Brawler gets stunned, and so he has his self-poison and a stun on, and there's a 50-50 chance to cleanse the poison, and he'll remain stunned for that round. Now that doesn't affect Rosh or Sir Nick because they never have more than one stun or one debuff on them, so she'll always cleanse the stun on the stun round, which is good. But it is something to note that you should keep an eye on. If you find that there's an issue, that it could be because she is now randomly removing a debuff starting this patch, whereas before she was actually just removing the last one. So it is always read random debuff, so now it's actually working as intended, but was a shadow nerf in a way. And she's got the same build as the rest of them. Again, it's just to mitigate damage or to increase opportunities to create damage. I don't know why I didn't go this one because whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The key here is to get her to War Master, get those damage run, and get these two here. And finally, my Occult Brawler. This is my Occult Brawler. He's the only one with different masteries. Do as you like. Just make sure you do not have turn meter manipulators, because that could manipulate him out of the turn meter order. But essentially, it's these two here, which is a 30% chance to extend the duration of his poison, and this is a chance, 5% extra chance of placing that poison. So both of those. If I read that right, he's got a 30% chance of a glancing blow, so he's got a 70% chance to hit normal, or and so long as that, he gets a 60% on his booked A1 to land the buff, which means he's got a 65% chance. Do the math. It helps you in that situation as well as any other, just that extra 5%. That is the team in a nutshell. Now, again, what I talked about, again, using the primary stat, because it's unkillable, you really, and I use some of these, I use in different gear because I use them in multiple locations. But if you're only using this team in the clan boss, I would even, like, he needs crit, so put him on crit rate gloves, get him in HP, get him in HP, right? I should have this up to 60. Look for HP substats to push that as high as possible. Sir Nick, you can do that same with attack. I would run him HP just to give him some A2 damage, because it does hit fairly hard. But I would, if I were to change it here, I wouldn't go defense gloves. I would actually change him over, and I was using him in some Ice Golem runs for my Seer. But basically, I probably switched this out to go for attack gloves. Just to help his A1 damage out, because everything else is irrelevant. He doesn't need more HP. It couldn't help his A2, but I think in this case, helping that A1 would be more useful. Or even crit rate gloves to get his crit rate up, because then he'll hit harder, generally speaking. So those are the two ways to improve his damage. Lightsworn, I did put in toxic gear to get a poison. It's a 2.5% poison debuff. I'm running one Occult Brawler. That Occult Brawler is not maxing his skills, so that is why I did that. But other than that, I just tried to up his defense. Obviously, I could use better poison gear to get that even higher, or get him out of poison gear. If you want, you could also put Roche or Sir Nick in poison gear. If you have top-notch poison gear, why not? You're not maxing those buffs. It just gives you more damage. This on a over a 75 million damage, or 70 million damage, is about 4 million damage, I feel like, is what it ended up doing, just based off of observation. He was doing about 2.5 million more per run. Maybe it was about 4 million on a full run, so maybe it's a little less than that, but it's still adding damage, and that might be the difference between 4 keying and 5 key, and obviously you want that 4 key minimum. It might be the difference between 4 key and a 3 key. So consider Toxic Gear. Again, I haven't min-maxed him here. He's in speed gear because it's what I had at the time, but obviously what you'd want to do again is use this as defense, because his skill, once again, scales off of defense. Doom Priest, it scales off of attack, so if you want to get fancy, do this. If she hits criticals, she can place an increased crit rate buff on a random ally. That can always help them as well, so you may want to use crit rate gloves on her like I did. Your call. Every little bit of damage helps. And don't forget that even though he is an HP hero, he does actually scale off of attack on his damage. So getting him in full crit rate, 100% crit rate, I have a 95%, some crit damage, and attack is going to improve his damage outside of his poisons, so consider that. So that's the team. I like I said, I wish I could show you a run, but sneak preview, I do have an alternative method in order to improve this. Many thanks to MurderInc, who has finally blessed me with the knowledge of a double DPS unkillable comp. I'm going to build that today or tomorrow and run it on my clan boss, and hopefully it's going to work really well, and I'll be able to show you a video of that. So that is coming soon. Unkillable 2.0 will be here. In the meantime, this is Unkillable 1.1a. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was worthwhile and of some knowledge to you. For the basics of how to run this comp, please, I will leave a link in the description down below. The turn order does not change from my original Unkillable comp video. Look at that. That tells you how to run it. I have changed my team slightly, so there is a difference. I think in the other one I had Rosh 5th, and now I have Sir Nick 5th, but it is the same basic turn structure. I did also change their gear up and their masteries up from that original one, which I showed you today. So, thank you very much. I hope you're having a good time with the Fusion event. I hope you're having a good time in the tournaments and events, and I hope that Plarium gets their act together and starts putting forth some reliable, consistent content that doesn't have the ultimate gold pull that we've all had today, which is maintenance. So if I never see another maintenance sign again, I will be happy. Tell me what you think. Please like and share. Turn on notifications. Favorite it. Send it to your friends. Send it to your parents. I don't care if people don't play Raid. Just watch it. And leave your comments down below. If there's anything else you want to know, or there are questions you have about this, is there anything else I can do to help you? Please let me know. I am Madcapper signing off. Most importantly, don't forget, keep your stick on the ice. Don't eat yellow snow, and support February 27th, which is Anti-Bully Day or Pink T-Shirt Day. There will be a link in the description down below about that. If your local constituency does not support this initiative, which originally started in Eastern Canada as a way to stand up against bullying and awareness for bullying and preventing bullying in the schools, if you don't have that, send this to your local representative. Get them involved. This is going worldwide. Over the last 5 years, it has really grown into multiple countries and areas. So I hope you guys consider getting that in your area too and support this worthy cause. Thank you, and have a good day. Happy pulling.